Welcome to the InforMaven AI Update, a podcast for higher education administrators to discuss the practical use of AI and intelligent agents. I'm JD Mosley-Matchett, the founder and CEO of InforMaven, and this month our guest is Dr. Ruth Slotnick, the Director of Assessment at Bridgewater State University. To hear the entire interview, please visit InforMaven.ai. How can higher education leaders build AI fluency and effectively integrate AI into assessment? Your research from 2014 and 2024 has shown that assessment professionals often work in silos, yet AI adoption is moving faster than any one office can manage alone. So how can a community of practice help higher education leaders build AI fluency and integrate AI into assessment effectively?
Yeah, I think that's kind of the reality of where we're at right now. I felt like in 2022, through most of 2022 into 2023, I felt like I was working alone a lot in the space, and it was hard to know who I could even connect with and talk to about it. And I found myself falling into a really great friendship with Peter Shea at Middlesex Community College. I've already mentioned him. He's an instructional designer. He's now been promoted up to a institutional level overseeing AI for the Middlesex Community College. And Devin Walton, who is an assistant professor of computer science at Northern Essex Community College. And I sort of naturally floated into a relationship that Peter and Devin had already built, and they were kind of road showing for the state at our state level conferences. Look, here's how you can use AI, and here are the friction points, and here's how we can think about integrating AI to relieve some of those friction points for faculty and even in our own work. And luckily for me, Peter and Devin took me in, and we kind of became the collaboration we wanted from our own institutions, right? Devin was my computer scientist faculty, and Peter was my instructional designer partner, and I am the assessment person. And so we started collaborating. That was my first home for collaboration, where I could say, yeah, I wrote this whole thing with ChatGPT, right? I changed very little. What do you think? And I wasn't willing to put that out there elsewhere, but I was willing to share it with others. And I think that vulnerability and that space was very important to me early on because I didn't have it with others. And then it sort of slowly, little by little, I think the field started to admit to itself that it's using it and talking with each other that it's, how we're using it. And then kind of fast forward to 2024 at the Assessment Institute, there may have been maybe 2 sessions on generative AI, 2 sessions in 2024 at the premier, longest running assessment conference in the country. There's 2, maybe 3 generative AI sessions. So that tells you something, right? Like our field is moving so slow. And that session was packed. There was like standing room only. And I presented with Gavin Henning. Natasha was supposed to join us. She couldn't come, but she gave us all of our notes and we presented all of her information. And we kind of just went through a little bit of an opener, a little hands up in terms of use, and then kind of talked about use and did a little demo. And that's all that we did. And people loved it, right? I think moving into 2025, we're in a different space now. We're moving now towards the Assessment Institute Community of Practice. And that will be co-led by the wonderful John Hathcoth at JMU and Will Miller from Embry-Riddle Aeronautic University. And together, we will build a rather large community of practice. We have, I believe, over 125 individuals who have expressed interest in the community of practice. So when I tell you we have 226 respondents to our survey, and half are saying they want a community of practice, and I ask, why is that? Because we have no training institutes, because we have no guidelines, because we have no books on this, because we have very little literature on it. I wrote a paper on it, and it was published in 2024 on how do you use AI for qualitative work as an office of 1, maybe 2, and in what ways can we test it to see how well it works? And you know what? It worked really well. It worked really well as a third research partner. But always the human's in the loop, and we're testing it. But we miss stuff in the thematic analysis that it picked up. So it has strengths, it has weaknesses. So also the Java Jams that ran for a year last year, we kicked it off, and in 2024, ran for almost a year. We took some time off in the summer because it was an unhosted community of volunteers. And we asked, who wants to come forward and share with the field? How are you using it in assessment? And that's how I got very connected to David DeSabatito, Josephine Rodriguez, Will Miller, of course, Converse Wilcom at Drexel University, Devin, Peter, Joanna presented on cautions. Like we're building the field together. But those sessions were really well attended, and we were just running an unhosted community. And we sprinted right out of the gate with sort of a lot of conversation. And then we noticed that the field was shifting to more, we don't want just the conversation. We want like a 45-minute walkthrough of how are you using this thing? And that kind of brought us into the current moment where we need to move from these quick sprints to a deeper training where we run it for each other. AAC&U had I believe, an institute, and it was for faculty, right? And Ailey is doing some really great webinars. And Nian, for example, right down our Massachusetts group outside of AMCOA is doing, some sort of presentations or panel presentations, but we need more than that as a field. So this community of practice is where we need to be because this fire hose is coming fast at us. And we need a way to be able to really find a way to be down in the weeds of the technology, admit what we don't know, bring in the experts that have, and when I say experts, none of us are experts in AI here. We may actually have to bring in an academic integrity expert. We may actually have to bring in an ethical training on, how are we using it? What are the ethics? What are the sustainability outcomes? How, when we're interacting with the technology, what does that mean for us, for the world, for our environment? So we have to be the training we need because it is not out there. You can get some, Google training. You can get some Microsoft pilot training. You can go on LinkedIn and get all sorts of training, but it's not built for the managers, directors, leaders, practitioners. We have to build it for us, and no one's going to do it for us. And that's why this community of practice through the Assessment Institute is its own unique, very much needed next step. And we have to wait until 2025 to get there, right? We have to wait for the kickoff. So we're starting to build the structure of what it's going to look like. And I think it sort of remains to be seen, but I think it's going to be the next thing that we need for our field.
I agree wholeheartedly. Thank you so much for all of the good work that you're doing. Please visit InforMaven.ai to hear the entire interview.